All right, everybody, welcome. It is the 8th of January. I hope you're doing really, really well today. Very, very fun. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Special edition of the Super Magic Show. I hope that you are doing well, as I said. Now, the title of the stream is After 40 Years, Dragon Ball Z is Fixed. It hasn't been exactly 40 years. It's been like 37 or something like that. But we're going to say all of Dragon Ball has finally been fixed. Well, wait a minute. What was wrong with it? Well, we're going to talk about it. And it's not necessarily something that many people noticed throughout the years. We're going to discuss all that. But believe it or not, after decades of Dragon Ball being available to us in a number of different formats on a number of different places, finally now we have what I would feel would be the definitive, most comfortable, correct way to watch Dragon Ball. Now, this stream, I'm going to bring my guest on here in just a moment, but we're going to be discussing Seed of Might. Now, we did talk about this in the past. I actually interviewed Vanner, who I'm bringing on in just a moment, and we discussed the previous Seed of Might projects, which were mostly focused on getting the broadcast audio right, getting a varied number of subtitles and things like that. Basically, no matter what version of Dragon Ball you have seen, whether it be Crunchyroll, whether it be on the app, or whether it be you have the Blu-rays, you have the orange bricks. In the previous stream, I basically said that Toei's the home releases of Dragon Ball have been less than stellar. They have problems. You understand what I'm saying? And so on this stream, we're going to be readdressing that, although it's going to be a bit different because we're going to go into the brand new color corrected version of Dragon Ball Z. Now, if you're wondering, wait a minute, what is color correction? What was wrong with the colors in the original Dragon Ball Z, GT, etc.? We're going to get into all that. Okay, so no worries, because I can understand. I was talking to Van before we went on the air. I can understand people not really getting what color correction really means because you've seen Dragon Ball Z, whether it be dub, sub, Latin America, whatever version, you've seen it, and you've seen the animation, you've seen the fights, you've seen the comedy, you've seen everything with a certain color palette. right? That it's the way it's been for decades, right? But that color palette was not the original intention based on the original animation cells. So if anybody out there collects animation cells, if you have a good eye for it and you look at the animation cell you have, depending on which one you have, and you compare it to Dragon Ball Z GT on television, the colors aren't quite the same. There's a reason for that, and we're going to talk about it. So I do have a couple super chats that are already in. First of all, End Most Cobra, thank you so much for your generous donation. That seriously means a lot to me. Anytime you guys send a super chat, whatever you send will be reinvested into the channel for editing and also for equipment and things like that. He says, good hell night. I don't know what that means. Hope you've had a good New Year's. I did have a good New Year's. Demon of Empires resubscribed. Okay, thank you. I hope you're doing better, man. I know you. I'm not gonna go into it, but he had kind of a rough month or so. He's in my Discord. If you want to join the Geekdom 101 Discord, you have to become a member at tier 2 and then go to the posts section of the channel. And there, their instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring on my guest representing Seed of Might. I was going to introduce him as the only member of Seed of Might with balls to get on camera, but I don't know if that's actually true. It might be. What's up, man? Welcome back, Vanner.
Hello. It feels good to be back. About a year of progress. And definitely have some good news in the world of Dragon Ball Z, the series as well as film.
Yes, well, yeah, the classic stuff. I've seen a lot of people say, I see it on social media. Hey, I'm rewatching Super or I'm rewatching Daima, and that's nice. But I want everyone to go and watch the real OG stuff. That's Dragon Ball and Z, because I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it a buck. When you go back and you watch the old stuff, it kind of shows the flaws of the new stuff. And it's like, man, I know Super had great moments. Daima had great moments, but I don't think they ever really captured classic Dragon Ball. I think they came close. Like the Ultra Instinct episode 110, the Broly movie in some aspects, the superhero movie in some aspects. You know what I mean? But I don't think it ever captured it. And there's no better time to rewatch it than now with Seed of Might's newest release. Now, if you're wondering, where can I get this? What is it? We're going to get into it. But I do have a question. Actually, let me hold off on this question because I'm going to ask you this question. But okay, he said it's a Dr. Slump reference. I actually didn't get the reference, bro. So thank you, Enmo. And then he says, this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. This cures my ED. No, he says, I started watching it in subbed and now I'm obsessed. See, that's good. The other day on social, I was talking about how I feel. See, it's funny because a lot of dub defenders will say, well, the Falconer score and the dub is why Dragon Ball Z is popular, which is wrong because we have evidence that the Ocean dub, which didn't have Falconer, blew up before the Funimation dub did. But I see a lot of people say that, and it's like, I have a counter argument. My counter argument is if we got a more accurate dub from the get-go, Dragon Ball Z may have actually been bigger in America than it was. What do you think about that? I know it's a wacky what if, and we really may never know, but I feel like the way it is in other countries, it could have been like that here as well in North America.
Yeah, it's so crazy the number of versions you get. I was actually talking to someone else about this. Like, if you wanted to introduce someone to Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z, and they asked, "Hey, I watched all of Dragon Ball. What version should I watch of Dragon Ball Z?" There are 8 different ways I'll say, an English speaker could watch the first episode of Dragon Ball Z. You have Japanese, you have the original Ocean Saban dub, you have the Funimation dub with the replacement score, you have the Funimation dub with the Japanese score, and they did a remake or remaster with Kai, so you have Kai in Japanese, you have Kai in English, you have the composer whose music got taken away. So you have that version of Kai with a different score, and then that version of Kai with a different score in English. You have so many different versions that it's this huge mess, and no one can agree on which one they like more. And people will ask, like, "Oh, can we get one, with some of the Kai lines and then some of the original DBZ audio track or score?" It's just all over the place. Yes, I do wish it was, one consistent score, consistent dub that was, uncut, and if not 100% accurate, because a dub never can be, at least close to accurate.
Yeah.
I think the series would be even bigger and more beloved in the West.
I've actually felt like, and I know this is a big maybe, but I felt like if Dragon Ball, I mean, they had the afternoon time slot, but I think if Dragon Ball was shown on prime time, and I know that in that era, it'd be tough to sell an anime being shown prime time, but I've always felt that if Dragon Ball had treatment like The Simpsons, where it's animation, right? It's a cartoon according to the executives, right? But you sell it like hard. You really promote this show as like, okay, this is like a once in a life, whatever buzzwords you want to use for promotion, you put it on at like 8 p.m. at night. For those who don't know, when Dragon Ball aired in Japan, actually, it wasn't just Dragon Ball. Slump, Dragon Ball Z, GT, Dr. Slump 97, the Toriyama time slot on Fuji TV was Wednesday nights at 7. So that's prime time. We're out of work and we're going to watch Dragon Ball Z. And that's so cool that they got to see the show not Saturday mornings, not weekday afternoons, but Wednesday night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it was weird just because, like, it'd come on Toonami, which was on Cartoon Network, and there's like kind of an infamous like newspaper saying it's like a cross between, I think,
Pulp
like a Tarantino movie.
Pulp Fiction and Pokemon. Yeah. That was the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. It's like, okay, it's kind of for kids, but then maybe parents wouldn't want kids of a certain age watching it. So I don't know. I wish it could have been better. I mean, it was still big, right? Like every boy my age, I might have said this last time, like every boy my age has picked up a stick and made a lightsaber sound, and every boy my age has tried to do a Kamehameha at some point. Like it was huge still.
Yes. Yeah. No, I same. I mean, this show. I think people underestimate how popular it is, but it's funny because, and to my point, it's always been insanely popular since it's come out, but in Latin America, it's even bigger. And I think a big reason is just because they got the full story. So we're getting super chats like crazy, which I was not expecting this early. But before we get into all that, the last time you were here, we talked a little bit of Daima, and we both of us agreed that we were going to see Gohan later on in Daima. Remember, you were like, I think this is a red herring. They're not showing him for a reason. No Gohan, no fusion bugs. I want to ask you, now that Daima is done, 20 episodes, we now see everything. How do you feel about Daima now, almost a year later? Did you enjoy it? Do you not like it? What'd you think overall now?
Yeah, so I'd say overall I still had a net positive experience with the show. Like I'm glad it was made. I'd say probably its strengths are really heavily in the animation. I thought the music was great. The opening was a great song. Really, I'd say the weak point was the writing. I do not understand why in a million years someone would write, "Hey, let's introduce these fusion bugs," and because you think you put that in, it could go one of two ways. One, it's going to be a powerful fusion, or two, it's going to be like a joke, right?
A gag,
like, you
right?
Expect, but it's neither. It's just like, oh, it fell out of his pocket or something in one of the later episodes. So clearly there are writing problems. I'd say like episode for episode, probably the best animation out of like all the series, just for how good the average episode looked. But it was a little short. And I feel like with kind of, somewhat quick, maybe disjointed writing, it's not something I really thought about too much after the series aired. But like I said, still in that positive. I don't know if you feel the same way or have your own spin on it.
Well, no, man, it's similar. It just kind of came and went. Like when it ended after about a month, like you, I really didn't think about it. I was like, okay, well, that just sort of like it's weird. When Broly came out, I had seen it a bunch of times. It's a very easy movie to watch. And then superheroes, again, these movies I think are fun because they're short enough. They're not as short as the old DBZ, original movies, the 17 original ones, but they're not super long either. They're not like 2.5 hours, and they don't really waste time. The pacing I think is relatively well on both those. So when you leave them, but you remember something, and with Daima, it's sort of just, I think the last episode was a disappointment. Maybe not like visually, but there was just a lot of stuff that was left that felt unresolved. Or at least that didn't get the resolution that I think it deserves. So, and then the other thing too is when you mentioned the writing thing. Thank you so much for the kind words. I'm gonna go into the super chat shortly, guys. Just give me a minute. Because I want to talk to Vanner about the color correction. So after we get done with this Daima thing. So I was just going to say, when we found out that Toriyama wrote like half the story, they started working on it, and then he wrote the other half, which is bizarre. I was telling you before we went on the air, Avengers Doomsday reportedly started shooting without the third act of the script being finished. And it's like so strange to me that these multi-million-dollar companies are starting projects without finished stories, and that is a bad idea. Look what happened to the Star Wars sequel trilogy. You got to know where you're going. So maybe Toriyama did think, okay, we'll do the fusion bug thing, and then maybe enough time had passed before the second half was done that he just legitimately forgot, and nobody on the writing team bothered to ask him because nobody probably knew that he was going to pass away. They probably assumed, and rightfully so, okay, he introduced this for maybe like a later movie or a later season or something later, didn't even think twice to ask him, and then he passed away. And I feel like him passing away, when you were on here last, oh no, he did pass away by then.
Yes.
So yeah, okay, no, you were. Okay, I was just gonna say, but I think that behind the scenes, I mean, him passing away probably confused a lot of people, because if you're going to ask questions, like if you're going to say, okay, we can write this in, but what, like, can you give us more detail or whatever? He died, and I'm still reeling from that death. But you can't ask him. You can't say, so who do you ask? Toyotaro? He okay, that's his understudy, but he has a different brain. Akio? Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like they were kind of in limbo for a while.
Yeah, I don't understand, or like, of course someone passing is more important than, writing a story, but
right,
make something up even, you know what I mean? Like, oh, Do and Ku eat the bugs and they make Dooku. And, whatever, it's a joke, and at least you're like, hey, it's a funny joke.
Something he would have liked.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely in line with Dragon Ball. Yeah.
So let's talk about the color correction. All right, now, where do you want to start this? We do have some super chats asking about it, but before I get into those, okay, real quick, I'm going to actually see if I can post the link in the, I want to post this link right now. I'm going to post a link in the chat, guys. This is a link to the previous time that Vanner was with me. This would have been Super Magic Show episode 7. I don't have a date here for some reason, but it was, usually it would tell me that, actually, here we go. I can just go like this. Hold on, give me 1 second here. So the date for the previous time was November 17th, 2024. So a little over a year ago. Yeah. I'm going to leave it in the chat so you guys can save that bookmark if necessary, because you will want to check out our previous interview. Reason being, because we went into the audio, the broadcast audio, and I don't want to revisit those topics again, although we can talk about it a little bit. I'm just letting everybody know the previous interview will go into more of like the broadcast audio, the 4x3, just all of the previous seat of my work This is the color correction. This was the biggest, most ambitious project Seed of Might has ever done, because you're literally going scene by scene by scene over the course of 291 episodes for Z. For everything, it's like 500 episodes. And I know you had a big team, and we'll talk about it. But this has been like 4 or 5 years in the making, something like that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to really like gauge the length of the project. Number one, everyone's a volunteer, right? Everyone does it on their free time, so it's not
nobody's getting paid here,
right? And there's been kind of like rumblings and ideas of different ways to work on the series. I want to say maybe back in 2020 was kind of the first talks, but then we sort of decided as a group, like, hey, let's start with, as you should, let's start with the original Dragon Ball. Let's work on that first. There were still some other folks who kind of had like ideas or getting things ready for DBZ. Then once Dragon Ball kind of came to an end, it was a little weird, but we decided to do GT for the color correction after that. Why skip? I mean, really, it was because it was the shortest series, right?
Way short.
Yeah. And then kind of the movies and Z were somewhat worked on in parallel. And finally, once that's ready, we still had, despite, I would say, the color correction kind of being the thing people noticed the most about this, there were still some audio fixes and improvements. There are some subtitle fixes and improvements, be it for translation or just for timing. So really just like a lot of different things coming together. And then it was a bit, it's been interesting. The social media is blowing up from, the Z release on Christmas Day, and then the movies on New Year's Eve. But yeah, we're finally here. And, I'm glad to see it, and, ready to kind of go into it. I don't know how like beginner friendly you want this talk to be, because like you said, you're going to share the previous interview. But where do you think a good place to start? Yeah.
Well, I went ahead and pinned it for everyone, so I'm just letting them know. It is pinned, so if you're in the chat, you should see it pinned there. I'm not saying to go listen to it now, but definitely bookmark that or listen to it later. That way you can get more. We go more in depth on other topics there. As far as the color correction goes, okay. I think the main question people are probably asking, or they could, and that's okay if you don't know this. I want to make it clear. If you're ignorant on what this color correction, what it actually means and what it is, that's what this stream is for. Because I think a lot of people, like I mentioned earlier, you start watching Dragon Ball Z since you're a kid. You just get used to how it looks. Okay, that's Dragon Ball Z. Oh, look, there's the Dragon Box. The DVD quality looks nice. Oh, look, there's the level set. There's this, there's that. Okay, oh, Seed of Might put out the original Z release. It still looks the same color-wise, but it's got a better encode. You're mixing the Japanese with the English Dragon boxes, all kinds of like work. Now with the color correction, there is a stark visual difference where there are scenes in Dragon Ball that I have watched hundreds of times in my life. And now I'm watching them with the color correction, and it feels like I'm watching a new show. So the reason, go ahead, and I know the answer. Mm-hmm. Like I know, but I'd rather you answer this because it's a more technical question. Explain to the people what happens to, it's not just Dragon Ball, it happens to other shows too. Yes, when it comes to film, anything, because Dragon Ball was shot on 16 millimeter film. Anything shot on film and that's old is going to suffer from film degradation. Can you go over that for the people?
Yep. Yeah. So two things, and I'll just very, very briefly touch on the audio parts in case anyone hasn't seen the old video. But yeah, so Dragon Ball is captured on film. Really, most media kind of before, let's say, the mid 2000s, almost certainly was done on film. And that film is a physical medium. There's chemicals in the film that capture the image and the color. And unfortunately, depending on how that film is preserved and how old it is, the film can degrade. Now, with that film, if you've ever seen like at a movie theater or seen a piece of film online, next to the picture, you'll see kind of these white squiggly lines. That's the audio on the film. Unfortunately, that audio isn't great for 16 millimeters. And when Dragon Ball was recorded for home release, they used that film, which had aged, as well as that audio, which wasn't very good. So just to kind of clear something up, because I've heard it before, I've heard people say, oh, Dragon Ball is supposed to sound old because it's supposed to sound like an old martial arts movie. Not true. And it has nothing to do with that. Nothing to
that's why I'm playing the music, Kikuchi score, that's supposed to sound like an old kung fu movie score, but it's not supposed to be like, you know, like the snow. Yeah, because I've said that too, Vanner. So I want to clarify for the people. When I say it sounds like an old kung fu film, it's not the audio quality, it's the music and the vibe. Mm-hmm. I just want to clarify that. So,
yes. So yeah, there's older shows, there's older films that look great and sound great because one, you know, the people who made that kept some of the original material. Usually it's magnetic audio for the audio. And then two, have actually, you know, gone in and restored the film. So with Dragon Ball, when it was scanned for the D-Box, you know, I don't work for Toei or the company that, you know, scanned it and worked on it. I can't say exactly. Yeah, I can't say exactly what Pony Canyon did, but clearly, you know, their work wasn't up to par. And there's been a lot of confusion because if you look at different releases of both Dragon Ball, I'd say Dragon Ball Z a little more, you notice they look different. Like if you got the original VHS singles or DVD singles, and if you got the orange bricks and then the D-Box or even the level sets or 30th anniversary version, each one looks a little different with the colors. For us in Seed of Might, back then we had worked on the D-Box just because that was, you know, one complete, had all the episodes. And despite the colors being kind of flawed, it did have what we thought was the best overall visual clarity. Like one could argue, in some ways, I get this, in some ways the older singles had better colors than D-Box because the film wasn't as degraded back then. It was closer to, you know, the original broadcast, the original production. But then the problem with the singles is the actual quality of the video just isn't that great. So, you know, for a time, people had kind of settled with the D-Box. But, you know, we knew the colors weren't right based on the older broadcast, based on, like you said, people have cells, people have production material. So at one point we kind of decided like, hey, let's try to work on this. Let's try to bring the color up to a more, I don't want to say modern standard because it's not like a modern, you know, revisionist thing, but yes, thank you. A more accurate standard. And I think we have some examples. I don't know if you have.
I'm ready. You want to show DBV 2.1 and 2.2?
Oh, let's do. Do you have the Vegeta fight one?
Let me see, because you told me to get DBV1, DBV22, DBV2 subtitles, blah.
Oh God.
And then let me see here. Oh, do I should have I thought I had got the Vegeta fight, but let me see here. I may not have gotten it. I may have forgotten that one. Hold on. I can get it real quick. Okay. I'm going to actually get it right now, like literally as we speak. Okay. Hold on. There it is, Vegeta fight. Okay, I got everything except that one. Do you want me to show in the meantime, because I'm downloading it now. So here we go, save. All right. So let's take a look. This is
okay.
Oh, wait. This is go ahead.
So this is actually I was going to save this for later, but I can talk about this a little bit if you want.
Well, that's up to you. We can also do this one. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, for the original Dragon Ball ones, I want to do those at the end.
Okay.
If that's all right.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I was just saying if you want to talk about it now, but I'll go ahead. I'll add the Vegeta video right now. We're gonna go into this. There it is, Vegeta. Oh, I see why you want. I see why. Okay, hold on. Okay, so this is perfect for everyone. On the left, obviously, you see the original, what was on the Dragon Box, and on the right, you see color corrected. Now, again, the pink skin. This is. I want to make this clear to everyone. This is not just a Dragon Ball problem. I'll give you a great example. And this is, I'm going to let Vanner go even more into this, but I'm giving people an example outside of Dragon Ball. So Saving Private Ryan, right? A classic Spielberg movie. The Blu-ray, if you really look closely, the skin tones are very pink. This is something that even live action movies suffer from. Like, it's not the real sort of color of skin. It's more pinkish, just like Goku is over in this image. But when you get the 4K of Saving Private Ryan, they went back and they color corrected it. They fixed it. They rescanned it. They cleaned it. Lo and behold, skin looks like skin. So all these years, people who have had the Saving Private Ryan Blu-ray or who have watched Dragon Ball Z on Dragon Box, Crunchyroll, whatever, they've gotten pink skin Goku, but that's not really his skin color.
Yeah, and and you can see it in not that this is a perfect reference, but even in something like Kai or even something like Super, like he's not pink, you know. And of course, like I said, you find any of that original production material, even if you had like a well-preserved VHS copy of DBZ when it was airing, like, yeah, you'd see he's definitely not that pink color. So that's kind of the most common complaints. Like, people say the lobster skin, or, you know, the sky looks like Namek even when they're on Earth.
The green sky.
Yes, there is much more to the color correction than just those things. So this episode was kind of like a particularly bad one, with how it looked, and I think this is a great example because it looks good, not just a single frame, you know, for Twitter or for clout or whatever, but in motion, you know, it holds up and looks good.
I'm going to hit play. I'm going to play it for you guys. I will be pausing every few seconds. I don't want copyright problems because I really want this whole stream to stay up preserved so that people can see it. But I mean, I'm hoping most of you guys at some point soon try to download this version of Dragon Ball. There's a link. There should be a link in the description of this stream that will take you into the Seat of Might Discord. I can't give you a direct link to download these, but I will say this, and please be aware of this. If you want Dragon Ball Z and GT, you better have a nice big fat hard drive because these are large files. Each episode is what, like 3 to 5 gigs, right?
I think around 3, maybe on average, yeah.
And I believe the upscales, which we'll talk about later, are even more. So let me go ahead and play this. Look at that man, jacked. Actually, Destiny FOMO sent in a super chat. You know what's funny about Destiny FOMO? Obviously, I know who this is, but it's funny because Destiny FOMO followed me on Twitch and here. I don't blame you for following me, right? I don't blame you, but it feels nice that for once the girl is following the guy and not vice versa, because I can only imagine how many people follow her for inconspicuous reasons. So she says, Seat of Might is legit out here doing the Lord's work. I agree. And that's the one thing that I have to praise Seat of Might for, all joking aside and everything. This is a very ambitious project, and y'all had to do it scene by scene. You couldn't just apply one color correction to the whole episode. You had to make sure each scene had its own work done, right? Can you talk a little bit about that before I continue the clip?
Yeah, like you would watch, I remember especially in like the first episode of Dragon Ball, like you would have Goku and Bulma having a conversation, and if it was like Goku's point of view and then Bulma's point of view, it would be tinted in like different ways. Like one was a little green, one was a little yellow or a little red. So yeah, anyone who's like, oh, I color corrected, you know, the whole episode in 10 minutes or whatever. It's like, well, I know from that kind of comment, it wouldn't be very good. Besides a few scenes. So yeah, we had people kind of like 2 different things at once, like go in and sort of balance the image. Like you can see here, like on the left, the home release, Goku's hair is kind of like, it's almost like blue, like a dark blue sort of, whereas on the right, it's actually black. And you can see in his teeth, you know, on the left, it's like kind of pinkish. And then on the right, it's actually like white teeth, like you'd expect. And then once we had that, we were able to apply kind of a more general color correction because now things are at least the same looking. So then color correction will, affect the image in the same way to give us the outcome we're looking for.
It's and like I said, most people, when I say most people have not seen Dragon Ball like this is not one of those like, oh, well, the hardcore fans know better. No, it has nothing to do with that. Literally, a color corrected version, as you said, has never really existed. You've got better versions. Like, for example, I still have copies of the Nippon Golden Network run of Dragon Ball and Z. And while the colors on those are closer to what Seed of Might did, because it was VHS from like 1998 or whatever, maybe even earlier than that, right? It's the image is, shaky, it's grainy, it's, and not in the good kind of grain. So, but with this release, you've got the Dragon Box sources, which are, look, guys, I'm just going to keep it real. The only way to get a better source is if we actually get the 16 millimeter film. And Kineko Video does have some 16 millimeter film for OG Dragon Ball, and they have some of the movie stuff, but far from everything. But also people have to remember to take a piece of film and scan it. That in and of itself is an expensive process and time consuming. So I feel like my opinion, feel like these Seed of Might releases are, could you get a more perfect picture if we had the original film? Yes. The likelihood of that happening is slim to none. So I feel like, look, man, I talk about gratitude a lot. We need to be grateful this even exists. And I'm not just saying that because Vanner's here. Like, I've talked about it on my Twitch streams. Like, we need to be grateful that this even exists. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's been different projects in the past, and, to varying levels of success. Like one annoyance is, people will color correct a single frame in Photoshop or something. And everyone will be like, whoa, I wish I could see it like this. And it's like, okay, now actually, work towards it. And, I'll never say that the entire show, how we worked on it is perfect. Like, I'm sure in this fight or in the whole series, you could go through, you could randomly pick an episode and pause at a random spot and say, wait a minute, I'm going to take a screenshot and I'm going to color correct this better than Seed of Might did. And, you probably can for a single frame. But it's like, okay, now do that 24 times a second and do that for, 22 minutes of footage and do that for 300 or so episodes.
Years. That's years.
Yeah. It was just, a crazy amount of work. No one went frame by frame, making sure every color was perfect. But I think this is, the best thing that any, fan group could come up with in this amount of time.
I agree. Also, once again, I want to reiterate, we have super chats 227060. I got your question, but I'm holding off on that for a little bit because I don't want to get into that aspect of the questions just yet. So please be patient. We are going to get to that. I promise you, but just be patient. I'm going to keep playing this so everybody can see here. Sanbai Kaioken. That's times 3, by the way. I'm gonna go a little full. I just don't want to get copyrighted, bro.
That's fine. And that's the broadcast audio you're hearing.
Yes, has to be, because you guys already put that on there the previous release.
Yeah, there were a couple new updates.
Better ones, right?
Yeah, just like not to get too into it, but like certain captures were just better, worse quality, literally depending on like where in Japan they were captured based on like the broadcasting station. So yes, there's a couple ones that do sound a little bit better than the old release.
It's I remember reading that. Like, and the broadcast, sorry about that. The broadcast audio is so clean too, because like I do get a lot of people saying like, well, Japanese Dragon Ball Z sounds a certain type of way, which it does. But I mean, with the broadcast audio, I posted a clip on Instagram. People were like, I've never heard it sound like this before. And it's like, this is, and it would have been even better if Toei had kept those original audio masters. But this still sounds, I mean, it still sounds mind blowing just what we have already, you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
the stuff K
I mean,
found and other people.
right. So much is like, if only this, if only that. But I think that's kind of why this Seed of Might groups exists in the first place. Like, all right, Toei's not doing anything or anything good. Crunchyroll or, what was then Funimation isn't. So, fans sort of really took it into their own hands to do the best they could and come up with this.
Is Geekdom bald? Yes, I am, bro. All this hair up here, this is CGI. This is really good. This is AI right here, bro. All this hair up here, that's AI. Anyways, I like this clip. We're gonna keep going. All right. Oh, the glow. Crack. Steaming. By the way, again, I'm pausing it for copyright. The only reason I'm doing it is for copyright. You can see Bulma's like shirt. The blue looks, I don't know what the word is, more blue, I guess, in the color corrected one. Oolong skin.
Yeah, that like ridiculously pink like filter. It's not a filter. The way the film is on the left is just bad. But yeah, definitely more like Oolong now looks like a pig.
But wait a minute, aren't there a lot of pigs that do have pink skin?
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah.
See, that's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. And I want to ask you this. When somebody at Seed of Might is working on an episode, okay, I know that obviously you guys reference the animation cells for the correct colors, but what if there was no cell available for that particular episode or scene? How would the team sort of figure out how to navigate those waters?
Yeah, great question. So what we didn't do, right? We didn't like, find a cell of a scene and then go to that scene and like look at the cell, look at the scene and make it match exactly. What we did was we collected, whether it be from pictures online or pictures some people had of these cells, these production materials, and we would sort of create like a range of acceptable colors based on things. So the way we kind of describe the hues would be like a color wheel, like 0 degrees is red. It kind of goes up 120 degrees is green, 240 degrees is blue. And each, I guess, object or thing that comes up commonly, we'd give a range to. So like Oolong, I don't remember the exact range off the top of my head, but his would be something like, okay, a range of like 5 to 15, which is like a mostly red, but like a little bit in like the orangish or, peach kind of color. So that way we didn't have to have every cell, because if we had like, for example, Bulma's hair, something that you would see a lot, you see it enough times, you're like, okay, I know what color this is supposed to be. Like it's more or less the same color every time we're seeing the cell. So then when it comes up in a different scene, we're like, okay, as long as it's within this acceptable range of 10 degrees, then we're happy with it, and we're going to move on to the next scene.
Yeah, I figure you wouldn't be stuck on one thing. 40s, the new 20s. Yeah, I feel you on that one with that name. This is a big difference. You don't have to be a video file to see the difference between these. Yeah, and that's why I'm glad Banner sent me this clip, and I've seen other clips too. Some of them are available on the Seed of Might YouTube. There's different places you can check it out. But if you look at the screen, I mean, you don't have to be, because I do feel like in order for someone to work on this project, meaning somebody from Seed of Might, you have to have the eye to be able to catch things, the imperfections and things like that. And not everybody has that eye. But to just watch Dragon Ball, just casually for fun or just with friends, just by watching, you can see a major difference. The first thing I saw from the color corrected was Dragon Ball Z 120, which is Trunks and Frieza. And I have watched that episode and that sequence hundreds of times in my life, maybe, or at least close to it. But seeing it with the color correction and seeing Trunks' jacket, the glow of the hair, the blue skies, it really does feel like you're watching a new show, but yet a familiar show. It does give you that vibe where it's like, okay, even if you don't know anything about color correction, even if you don't know anything about it, even if you're super casual, you can look at the color corrected Seed of Might and say, okay, I get this is what it's supposed to look like. It's sort of like a sixth sense, like you, especially if you've read the manga, even the full color manga, which was done after the anime. You know, people, I think, and even the video games, I think people will easily recognize the difference.
Yeah,
Especially on some clips.
Yeah, and it's good too for like, I just think of, you know, fan artists who draw the characters or the scenes, like you can see they kind of have a sense like I've never seen anyone draw Bulma like as red as she looks, you know, on the left side.
Yeah, the pink skin. All right, let's get to the next cut. I also love the dark blacks too, because you guys had to do a lot of what's the word, white balancing. I noticed I wanted to ask you about that. There's a big team. I looked at the credits and there's a lot of people doing white balancing. I know I asked you about this privately. Can you explain to the audience, you know, the differences between, okay, white balancing is part of color correction, but why is white balancing so important? Like, can you explain to the people like why that's such an important aspect of this whole thing?
Yep. So generally what it is making it is kind of a way to get rid of the tint, and I guess you could say like normalize the scene. So it's making things that should be white look white and things that should be black look black. Sometimes we call it black balancing, but often we'll just say white balancing to mean both. So you can kind of see it, right? Like here, Chi-Chi's hair on the left is kind of like a really dark, like red, like a really dark, I don't even know, like maroon color, where it actually looks black on the right. And you can see like part of Bulma's clothing or hair, a little pink on the left, and then it's actually white on the right. And what this does, I talked about a little bit, but it makes the image consistent from one scene to the next. So it's not the only thing to do. And the reason why we had so many people is because the actual method to do it, we used Vegas Pro as the software, is actually fairly easy. Like literally there's I think like white balance or color correction tool. And like you literally just click on a white thing and then you click on a black thing and it just like does it.
That's very easy.
Yeah, the reason why it took so long is because you have to do this for not every scene, but every shot. So like if this scene is, you know, characters hanging out around a table, you can't just do it for this scene. Like you do it here, and then when it cuts to Bulma's reaction, you have to do another application. When it cuts to Chi-Chi's reaction, you have to do another application. So like in certain episodes, you'd have like 200 or so times where you'd have to apply a different white balance setting. Once it's balanced, then we had, right, so from one to this, you would have a separate white balance. They can be similar, but often we would have to do a white balance every single shot.
I think this is a great example, because if you look at the left, it's more gray than white.
Yeah.
I'm just showing the people. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And once it's balanced, then you have we call it U shifting, and there's different ways to color correct. This is just what we found works for us. U shifting is just, I mean, kind of what it sounds like. You taking certain colors that, like in this case, are too pink or too gray or whatever, and then shifting them to what they should be.
Yeah. We have let me get to these two questions real quick here. 227 says, personally, I love Daima, especially the world building. Yeah, that was from our earlier conversation. That is one thing. I was thinking about this actually today when I was on the road. I was driving and I was thinking that I'm happy that Toriyama, before he passed away, was able to expand his world so much, not just with Super and the multiverse, because that was obviously a big expansion of the lore, but also with the Demon Realm and Daima. You know, we kind of were blessed with that, and then we'll see where things go. Kevin Ali says, Majin Ku and Do Fusion with the Fusion Pose would have been dope. I agree with that. Now, here's a question. Would Seed of Might ever color correct other anime like Sailor Moon?
So we have worked on other anime, not color correction. We did have a Cowboy Bebop release. Oh my, I think that might be 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
We have one project that's been a bit delayed as we worked on Dragon Ball Eva or Eva anime release. Like I said, Dragon Ball has kind of been the focus. In terms of like a big anime, I don't think that's in the cards for Seed of Might. What I will say, if that's a series you're interested in, if you join the Discord, if you read the rules and follow along, we do have a projects channel where if you want to talk about a project, you're more than welcome to. And I know for sure there are people in that not part of Seed of Might, but just kind of hanging out that either are working on this specifically. I have seen examples of color correction for Sailor Moon, and I'm sure there's tons of different anime or even non-anime projects people want to work on.
I mean, I hope that with Seed of Might, with Neos, with Team Marolo, there's a lot, Kiniko, there's a lot of little fan groups out here. What's funny about these fan groups is the only people that really know much about them are the people that are online, because casuals, like even some of the ones that like watch the content, don't know about these pockets of fandoms that do these little projects. What I'm hoping for is that with all these, but now they're gonna, hopefully now they'll know. But this is what I was gonna say. What I'm hoping for now is that now that the teams are starting to get like more notoriety and that this big project is done, I'm hoping that other teams pop up to do other things. For a long time, there was TV Nihon, which was the team that I was a part of back when it was hashtag Tokusatsu in the early 2000s. They went and they did a full, they basically subtitled and cleaned up a lot of Super Sentai and Toku shows. So you have different groups that are doing different things. And I sincerely hope that there is like a Seed of Might type of group for Sailor Moon or for Naruto or whatever people want to like, edit and fix some of these old shows. You're only going to get this problem with stuff that was shot on film. Digital stuff like Super and Daima, you're not going to get film degradation at all. But with the old stuff, it does need to be fixed up, which is why when somebody releases a movie and they say digitally remastered, like whenever you see that, obviously Funimation lies about theirs, but most companies, when they take a film, an old movie, Jaws, The Godfather, something that was shot on 35 millimeter film, and they rescan it, clean it up, and you put it on a 4K. I mean, I have Jaws on 4K. I've talked about it before. That's a great 4K to test your home system because of how good that transfer is. The water, it almost feels like you're at the beach. Like I'm looking at my TV and I'm seeing the water and I'm seeing the sand under the water, and it's little details you never catch on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. And that's the beauty of this type of work. Now, Trenton asked, how long does it take to color correct one episode? That is a good question.
Yeah. I want to say, when I was working on some of the things for the white balance part, it was, it could take maybe 2 to 3 hours. And then I wasn't actually there when we first developed like the script for U shifting. I want to say that was maybe about an hour. And then there's the actual like applying it and encoding it. Now, fortunately, there's certain things you can do in parallel, right? Like for the encoding part, some people kind of say like, why don't you compress it? Like, no, we do compress it. I've seen the lossless files. I've had them. They are crazy big.
Massive. Has to be.
Yeah. But our philosophy has kind of been like, okay, we are going to encode it to, save on space. But we really want to try to make something look as good as it can. Because how annoying would it be if we had, this really crummy, low bitrate encode where you said, oh, I love their colors, but the video quality is garbage. So now I have to pick between, D-Box, good visual quality versus Seed of Might, good colors, bad quality. So yeah. So, it's a couple hours, but it really depends on how much you want to do. So if, this Trenton asking, like, if you want to work on an anime, like if you want to say, hey, I'm going to put 30 minutes in an episode because that's how long it takes to watch, go ahead and really experiment and figure out what you're comfortable with.
And that's why I do hope that people who are passionate about this are inspired to do it. Like I said before, the thing that blows my mind about Seed of Might is this is a passion project. There's people aren't getting paid for this. Should there be, okay, let's keep it real. Should there be a situation where if Toei Animation didn't absolutely hate its fans, because I'm convinced at this point that Toei hates us, like, and I don't mean just YouTubers. I mean, they hate all of us. I really have a lot of disdain for that company. Not the people that work there, not the animators and the staffers, but the people that make these decisions. It's just a very arrogant company. Yes, Toei should have already done this. This color correction, broadcast, everything that Seed of Might is doing should have been done at a professional level with a professional team getting paid. Seed of Might volunteered. Same thing with Team Marolo and Neo and everybody, right? So it's really is from pure love of the series and also wanting there to be a version out there that can really capture Koyama, Morishita, and Toriyama's kind of vision for what Dragon Ball is supposed to look like with the right colors. You know what I mean? And it's just a thing where, yes, Toei should have done this. And every time, it's like, it makes me mad, but it also makes me happy. Every time that they screw up, the fans have to come and fix it. It just happens so often. Even now, we'll talk a bit about the Seed of Might manga in just a moment, but okay, John Leone. Okay, first of all, John, we've already seen OG and GT. OG and GT have already been color corrected. They were done first. Okay, so there you go. Secondly, he's talking about Kai. Now, I've gotten a lot of questions about Kai and a color correction of Kai. That's a little bit different because Kai, I don't know how to explain it, but Kai already has like its own color changes, like just Kai in and of itself. So what do you have to say about people asking about Kai? Because we do get that question.
Yeah. So number one, so we did put out a release of Kai. You can find it, where you find our other work.
Go into the Discord, y'all.
Yep. It has English dub, Japanese dub, and both scores, the original score as well as the replacement score.
Hell yeah.
And then, all the subtitles you love so much. So in terms of like Kai English with this footage, so kind of our philosophy, Seed of Might as a whole, is present, the anime, the work, as close to as it was originally animated, right? Something like a recut is a little bit outside our wheelhouse. Not that we're against it, but I think what this project, this current color correction, has done is it allows people to now use it for their own works. So there is another group out there, Team Kienzan. They're working on what's called the Z recut.
We had them on here 2 weeks ago.
Yep. So that's one thing where that's not Kai exactly, right? But it's a kind of shorter version of DBZ that's made to more closely follow the pacing of the manga. And there are some other groups out there. Like I said, if you go on our Discord, on our Project Advice channel, there are people talking about syncing this footage to Kai, because while at least the first part of Kai, I think does look generally pleasant for the most part. It does have some weird things like the redraws. The digital redraws look like atrocious. There is a little bit of censorship with some of that imagery. And then with, the second part, the final chapters is just...
I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
They weren't thinking. The entire thing's cropped. So unfortunately, there's that problem. But people, to make a long story short, there are people working on putting this footage to Kai audio. If you want to learn more, you can come to the Discord and see, if you want to help out or get that release.
Yeah, it's the thing I've always told people with Kai is, and this is not me, I'm not trying to like shit on Kai, but it was really Z's what needed this. Kai did sort of its own thing. This is really, this project with Dragon Ball Z, GT, and the movies was meant to capture that 1986 to 1997 era, that's what this was meant to capture, that era, because that is what was out then, and that's what had problems with the film preservation. Kai, Toei already worked on it, like you said. It's just one of those things where the priority was to do the older stuff because they needed it more. I do want to address this from Trenton. They only like their Japanese fan base if they're good off the manga. No need to get rid of pink tint animes and big over there. Okay, a lot of things that you said here that are wrong. Toei doesn't care about the Japanese fan base either, bro. Trust me. There's lots of Japanese anime fans who are downloading Seed of Might now. There's people over there who are probably with a VPN downloading Seed of Might because they want the same thing. The manga has nothing to do with the anime as far as money goes for Toei. That's Shueisha. And you saying anime isn't big over there. So you're telling me anime is not big in the country that created anime? Think about what you just said, bro. Don't worry about him, bro. He once said something so stupid that I broke my mic on camera, bro. You owe me a microphone, Trenton. All right. So, all right, couple more questions. When are we going to get a Bosnian DBZ dub? That is out of the hands of Seed of Might. However, I got to ask you, I've seen people asking about French dub, Spanish dub. The Seed of Might horror release has Japanese with some of the English variety of English dubs. But there are international fans who have been asking, what about this dub? What about that dub? I know that you've got other groups that are sort of working on that. Can you sort of tell the people what's going on with other languages besides English and Japanese?
Yes. Yeah. So this comment just gives me a chuckle because I would say there's like two common complaints we get. The number one complaint is, hey, can you make these files smaller, maybe with fewer audio tracks? And the second is, hey, can you add more audio tracks?
Make it bigger.
Yeah. So, it's part of like I said, we're all volunteer. We have so much time. A lot of people, even in Seed of Might that speak English, don't care too much about some of the English tracks. So really to like throw in all these other ones would be a bit much. There are some other groups though, if you want different languages. So there's a group called ANC. If you're into Spanish, Latin American tracks. There's another group called 40th Project that has some of that Latin American audio. So if you want that, you can go there. But probably the premier one would be the Dragon Ball Dubs or DB Dubs server. If Dragon Ball has been dubbed in that language or subtitles exist, if you go there and you want to see that language, they either have it or they will help you to sync it or work with you to get that audio or subtitle track onto whether it be the show, the movies, or even the specials. But yeah, DB Dubs is definitely a big one for a lot of different languages.
I downloaded something from, I think it was DB Dubs a while ago. It was episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z, but it had like 50 something languages. And so it was like a test thing, right? So it's English, and it's got like Hindu, it's got Tagalog, Russian. So there are audios for different dubs, but I'm just gonna be as honest as possible about this. I am proud to be a hardcore Dragon Ball fan, and I'm proud to have people always talk about my knowledge, and I appreciate that. But the one thing that when it comes to my knowledge that is something I'm not very well versed in is international dubs. I don't know anything about the Russian dub, the Portuguese. I hear people tell me about it, but I don't know these. I know Spanish because I'm Cuban and I speak the language, English and Japanese. But when we're talking about the Russian dub, the Italian dub, that's out of my wheelhouse. If somebody were to say, "Hey, Geekdom, how accurate is the Italian dub?" I have no idea. I'm not Italian, but I'm glad there's groups out there that handle those things. So now this is a question we got earlier that I was saving. What's best for 1080p? Neo Raws or 40th Project? I do want to say real quick that Seed of Mike's versions are not 1080p. They're 480p. But if there's instructions, I think it's in the torrent, right? There's instructions on how to get MPV and all that stuff, right? I remember you put that in there. Yeah. So if you're watching it at home on a PC, there's ways to make it look even sharper. If you're looking for an upscale, which I'm all about the upscales. I know there's a lot of people in Seed of Might that hate it, and I respect that. To me, here's my view. Here's sort of my counter argument. Are AI upscales perfect? No. If we had the original film, totally different story. But I'd rather have an upscale that's imperfect with a little bit of error. Not if it's got a lot, forget it. But if it's a little bit here and there, I can't complain. I never in my wildest dreams. And I got really emotional the other day when I was watching the color corrected ones. I was very honest and very vulnerable in the Seed of Might server when I said, like, I'm very emotional right now because seeing Dragon Ball look like this, sound like this, I don't think you understand. For somebody like me, I want to make clear, for somebody like me, there's not that many people that have an obsession with Dragon Ball to the level that I do, which, by the way, I once had a hater tell me that I'm not a real fan. Oh yeah. Sure. But but the point is that, like, when this project came out, it was like I never thought this was even possible. You know what I mean? And so I think that we need to be grateful again, not only that this exists, but even though it's not perfect, because I hate somebody will come to you and they'll say, well, Seed of Might is great, but 1512 in episode 42 has an error in the subtitle. Usually Seed of Might will actually fix it and then put it like in the next version. I've seen that. I've seen y'all do that. I don't know, man. I feel like it's one thing to be nitpicky. It's another thing to be, we have to be appreciative because this shit took fucking years. I'm sorry for cursing. This is not an overnight thing. Banner, I'm so sorry. I'm rambling, bro.
Oh,
this
no,
question
okay.
is for you. Do you have an answer for this question?
Yes.
I'm over here blowing you.
No. So a couple things. So like we do seriously have an open channel issue reporting. On one hand, it is frustrating, especially like we have a dub titles English track, so it's the subtitles of what you hear in English, just to make that clear.
Like the
for
hearing
whatever
impaired.
reason, yeah, that one has like I might be wrong about this. If I find out I'm wrong, I'll tweet a correction or whatever. I believe that one, a lot of it is like hand typed by someone, or like people have gone in and worked on it. Not that it came out of a home release necessarily. There are a lot of little errors like the wrong there or the wrong your will come up sometimes. If you see that error, go ahead and let us know. Like, hey, this is there. We appreciate it. We'll, for especially Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball GT with some updates coming out soon, we can absolutely throw those in. So to kind of get at this question, so right, upscaling, I think it's come a long way. I think we at Seed of Might have, for better or worse, seen a lot of people like try and upscale, and they just kind of think like, oh, bigger number means the picture's better, and some just like look like trash. I don't know if you've seen like I don't remember if it was Toei's or Crunchyroll's. On Hulu, they upscaled the original Dragon Ball.
I saw that, and it's not. I said it. This does not look right.
No.
Not just that, Vanner. Have you seen those guys on YouTube? No disrespect, but they'll say like Goku versus Vegeta 4K upscale, and people look at it and they're like, "Wow, this looks great," and I'm like, "Wow, you need glasses. It's horrible." Yeah. And I'm known to have bad eyesight.
Yeah, and the worst is the 60 frames per second one where they're just like warping into each other, and it's
I don't think garbage. People understand. People don't understand how frames per second works with film, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. Okay, but to get to this, right? So I am glad that the version we put out is not upscaled, only because it now allows other groups to work on it. So Neo Raw is working on the color correction, 40th Project working on kind of the older version we had of D-Box, which still has some visual fixes. And those fixes and improvements allow other groups to be able to upscale and still look good. So kind of between these two, just sort of my opinion, I do think they have a little bit different philosophies. So like 40th Project, it's a very like kind of like modernist take, I guess you could call it. Like I think for Dragon Ball, their first audio track is actually surround sound Japanese.
Which that had to be done with AI, right?
I believe so. I don't want to speak too much on a different group's efforts.
Right.
That track was never broadcast in surround sound, was never mixed in surround sound. But I'm not going to say it's wrong to do that. Like if they want to do that, sure. And then like in the video, like halfway through, there's a little like, I don't know, advertisement, I guess you call it, or like logo for the project that comes up. Like, hey, you know, this is the 40th project. So it's kind of their own sync. Like it doesn't quite sync to the D-Box. That's not wrong to do it. Whereas the Neo Raws is exactly that D-Box footage. You know, the synced up perfectly.
The seat of my version, essentially.
Yes, Neo Raws of that, and they've had some help from folks at I blank on the name, at Kinnico Film. Sort of help them say, hey, this is what 16 millimeter looks like, especially for Dragon Ball specifically, 16 millimeter. And some of the Neo Raws upscales using that method, I'm glad they're not a bunch of evil bastards, because they absolutely could have tricked people into saying, hey, we found, you know, film of Dragon Ball and we scanned it in HD and we'll sell it to you for $5 a pop or whatever. It does look really good.
People would have fallen for that one.
Yeah, the Neo Raws one does look incredibly good. And what's good about, like I said, the fact that we have this standard definition version is Neo Raws is still kind of working on things, trying to improve things, to the point where he's even considering like 2 different methods of, you know, you could call it like the classic or like accurate method of looking just like 16 millimeter film, and then kind of like I guess you'd call it a sharper method for those who maybe aren't as into like the old timey, I won't say old timey, but you know, that more classic film look and want something a little more modern. But what's great is, you know, you don't have to pay a subscription for any of them. So if you want to just download, you know, 1 or 2 episodes of each, then go right ahead and you know, watch them.
I'm gonna remove. I don't know why this is still there. Okay. Okay. This is weird. There we go. Okay. So I wanted to pop up some more. I want people to actually see this, because I think we're talking about it, and I'm happy that we're answering questions. But I want people to actually see. Not only is Dragon Ball Z GT done, the movies are also done. Here we have the first Cooler film. This is, and thank you, Kame Z. I know you were in the chat earlier. I appreciate it. You should be following me, but you know what? I'll give you a follow, bro. You know, there's my love for you. I gave you a follow, or I give me one, bro. Follow for follow? No, I'm kidding. Check it out, though. So here's the Cooler film. This is the original. Yeah, that is you. I know. And then here is the fix. It's like night and day. This is the original, and here's the fix. Like the original, the water's kind of green. Cooler's white parts are gray. It's the same thing we've been talking about. And then bam, look at that. You know, I think it's great. Let's see. Okay. Abereste, your merch is great. Is there a chance of you releasing versions of shirts without text with just the images? Been enjoying your content for years. Thank you so much for the kind words. Email me. I'm not planning on doing that, but if you want something custom, shoot me an email. I might be able to do it depending on if the artist has the original render still. So you are going to have to email me for specifics. All right. So thank you for that. And then Iron Man says, isn't Dragon Ball for nerds who don't shower? Yes, but it's also for nerds who do shower. So it's for whatever your what do you call it? Hygienial habits are, is good on me. Okay, Vanner, you also sent this to me, bro. What is there something you wanted to highlight? This is all from the movies, by the way. This is all from the original Dragon Ball films.
So here we have like kind of a before and after for each movie. We see a lot of common problems. Like the before is this kind of like yellowish tint, and then if you just the way this works,
where's the before?
It should be
and
you
after
just click on an image. So
okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the before. This is the after.
Yellow, and then this they actually look like, you know, human. White balance, a little brighter. Some stand out more than others. That one on the right of Goku looking up, I remember being like kind of a significant change. See, it's all green. It's boom, and then back to like normal human looking colors.
So what you're telling me is this version is if I'm wearing blue light filter glasses, which I am, and then this is the real colors.
Yeah.
Our friend Lance is colorblind, and I'm bummed out because Lance would have really appreciated this. Lance, you would really appreciate this. Green. I mean, you're right. This is a big one, y'all. Look at this. This is from the Lord Slug movie. Green, Goku skin kind of yellowish, and then bam. That's a beautiful, beautiful. Here's Dead Zone. Now, somebody in the chat was asking about the brightness. Was that also an issue you had to deal with? Like,
yeah, so you can see actually in this Dead Zone one, if you look at like Goku's eyes especially, and you can see when you go back the older one, it's kind of like darker looking.
This one,
and then in the fix, you can see like it's not like oh my god, you're blinding me with brightness, right? But you can see in his eyes especially, it's a little bit brighter. If you look at can you scroll down to see all the pictures? The fourth one where it's young Goku looking up. This one you can really tell the difference. Yes. So this is the old one, and then you can see in the new one, you can actually see like more details in Android 8's like the shadows or like some of the rocks. So with the movies, because they're shorter overall than the show, we were able to like really go in and color correct them to like honestly like quite an insane level of detail. And then with that, there's not just a color correction, but leveling. So making things brighter if they need to be, or sometimes darker if they need to be. And you can see it here. The movies have been leveled to have a very consistent brightness that looks good without blowing out, the image. Like we didn't just crank up the brightness and say, hey, that's it. But yeah, I'm really happy with how the movies turned out. That's a good one from the first cooler. Or no, this is the second cooler. Yeah, second one.
Yeah. So there's Goku with the rice ball, and then bam, and it really, the thing about the brightness is, and this is kind of how the human eye works. Even though the actual image is not sharper than the previous image, you're tricked into thinking it is because of how much brighter it is. So you see more detail, like you said. You're not really enhancing necessarily the frame rate. It's just or whatever the not the frame rate, the resolution. But it looks like you are, and that's ultimately like it is a big difference. That's why I was telling people, listen. That's why I was telling y'all, you've never seen Dragon Ball Z like this before. It's just, it's not even, and it's not your fault. Like the thing that when I go on these rants about Toei and these companies, it is not your fault. Listen, if you're in this chat, and I don't care if you're a dub fan, a sub fan, if you started watching with Kai, if you started watching before Toonami, I don't care what your background is when it comes to Dragon Ball. We've all been fucked. All of us. We've all gotten less than stellar versions of this. Toei should have already done this work. This should have been done and not to mention that they have the capability of doing it better because they have the film. They have the original film. If Toei really wanted to, they won't. But if they really wanted to, they could release a super extensive 4K transfer of Dragon Ball, the movies or the show. And they could even have it to where you've got 15 different dubs on it because they can make licensing deals and they could charge like $2,000 and I'd pay it. I'd pay them the $2,000. Here, take my money. But because they don't do it because they hate us, we've got Seed of Might and Neos and Team Marolo and Team Kienza. Well, they do the recap, but still, I count them. All these different fan groups that are basically doing it for free. And that means something to me. Like that, you don't understand, bro. This shit makes me emotional. Like we've never seen the series like this. Look at this. Okay, this is Broly 2. It's yellow, bro. It's freaking yellow. And then look at that. It actually looks like a freaking yellow. Yeah, it's like the Kai Buu saga. We talked about it earlier. The final chapters, those are a wreck. Now, did you want to talk about this image and this image?
Yes. So this is kind of I guess a little peek in the future. So Dragon Ball was the first series we color corrected. It was way back when. since then, we've kind of come up with some improvements. So just like the other ones, there are improvements with the subtitles. There are some audio improvements, but visual improvements too. So this one, this is our current color correction, and you can see, yeah, we did kind of make a mistake. You can see it in like Goku's pants, and like overall
these are humans, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, here, we're saying like, hey, we kind of made a mistake here. And then if you go over to the newer one,
let me hold on. I had it here. Oh, this is the newer one.
Yeah. So some leveling applied. So it now stands out a lot more like the original material. As you can see, that error in the pants are gone. But then also like the actual color is a lot nicer looking on Goku for his clothing and everything else.
Yeah, I agree. It's just it's night and day. And let's see here. Bob Zor, if your Uncle Jack helped you off a horse, would you help your Uncle Jack? Oh, come on, bro. I didn't think we were gonna get one of those today, but I love.
You got $5.
Thank you for the $5. Yeah, thank you. And again, thank you for the generosity. And then they're thanking you. Yeah, I do. I would. Yeah. I'm gonna ask you guys, and Vanner's gonna. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but because you might end up being like, "No, what are you doing? My notifications." I would like you guys to, on social media, whether it be X or Blue Sky or whatever, give Seed of Might like a thank you. I would like that, because I'll be honest with you, like, and I'm just being real. Like, sometimes when like throughout the years I've been doing this, it's been like 11 years now. Sometimes I do feel very unappreciated, and I'm not blaming the people for that. It's just, everybody has like haters and things like that. But like sometimes, like in the past, it's gotten to me. And like a few months ago, I wrote on X that I had a health issue earlier this year, which I did, and I was able to overcome it. I almost died. And the amount of support that I got in that post really moved me, because sometimes when you're working on this shit, it feels like you're invisible. It feels like nobody ever acknowledges you. You know what I mean? And I'm not looking for like praise or validation, but it was really kind that people were saying nice things about me and not wanting me to die. And so that kind of like revitalized my entire opinion on this shit. And so I would like Seed of Might to get a lot of love for this, because it's such an ambitious project. It took years. That's the least you can do. I mean, at the very least, folks, we can be kind. So I do want to actually see if I can pop up. Hold on. I want to pop up. I'm going directly to my X account here, because I want to show some of the footage that I showed the other day, because not everybody follows me on X. About that was funny. About, like, that's a good one, but I want to show, where did I put it? Okay, right here. This is a great example. All right, I want to first, introduce this. Okay, this is nice. Thank you, Ikea Seru J. How do you say Jay-Z? I can never say his name. Jysze. How do you pronounce it?
I just say Jay-Z, like the rapper.
Okay, Jay-Z, Vanner, Atomic. Yeah, Ronan deserves praise. They honestly, bro, like, I mean, I said this the other day. Like, I mean this very much. You guys deserve to be millionaires for this. Like, Toei should actually, if Toei actually gave a shit, they should actually take these files and straight up just use them on the Blu-ray, give you some money, like, hey, we're licensing this away from you guys. And even though they don't have to, because they own the shit, that would be nice of them, right? And then you guys can all get some kind of compensation.
Yeah, we got maybe, I don't know if halfway there is right, but and you actually recently posted about this, but the now canceled the French release, the AB video version of Dragon Ball.
You're gonna get me mad again, bro.
Yeah, well, just to bring it up, they use the broadcast audio track, and Team Marolo Might found out like, hey, this is exactly the audio track as we edited it. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the highest honor to, have something, that we worked on actually put into, an official home release. And then of course, unfortunately, that's the one that doesn't get finished.
And that's, I think we should let's play this clip and then I want to talk about that because I'm okay. So real quick, Bosnian Legend says, where can we donate to Seed of Might? I believe that Jay-Z, I think he has a like a
coffee,
Kofi. Yeah. Do you happen to have that on you so I can post it in the chat?
I might be. I can post it in the chat.
I would like to. I would hope the entire server is watching this so they can probably give it to us, but I guess not. I do want to play this clip. This is the infamous Goku fingers Trunks. No, that's not really what happens. This is one of the coolest scenes in Dragon Ball. We're going to watch it here. This is, ladies and gentlemen, color-corrected Dragon Ball Z with the Neos upscale. So you're getting accurate subtitles. I want to talk to you about the Anime Labs thing too, by the way, because that's another talk about going above and beyond. All right, so let's watch this clip here. It's 44 seconds. I may pause during it to avoid copyright. Just letting you know. Here we go. Can you hear the audio?
Yep, I heard it.
Pause every 8 seconds. I'm sorry. It's just to avoid copyright, y'all.
Do what you gotta do.
I want you to take note of, and the beautiful thing about this upscale, guys, is when it's properly done, and this is something I love about Dragon Ball, you can pause it at any frame, and you're probably going to get a cool shot. Like this right here, maybe if I go a little bit further to the next frame, would be an awesome thing to just draw, because you really see the talent of Yamamuro and the other animators when you pause it and just look at the beauty of the colors. Like it's just that's what I love about Dragon Ball, man, is the art is so good. It's one thing. I mean, look at this shit, bro. I love this scene. Now, I'm going to get nerdy here for a minute. I broke this down on Twitch, and I'm going to break it down again. A lot of power scalers say, oh, Goku's finger is stronger than Trunks' entire body. That is not what's going on here. Trunks is going full bore on Goku with the sword. However, what Goku's doing is he's channeling all of his energy into his finger. This was talked about on Namek when Goku elbowed Recoome. Vegeta said that what Goku did is he transferred his energy to his elbow to deliver the maximum impact. Now that's a real martial arts principle. Like it's not necessary. I'm not saying that in real life we can shoot fireballs, but when you throw a punch or a kick, as you become better at it, you learn how to properly sort of control your energy. And that's why at the end of this shot right here, you see Goku and Trunks' Super Saiyan aura sort of like bounce and flow, because that's Goku releasing the energy. This is so freaking well done, bro. And by the way, what I just said right now, if you want more breakdowns like that, join me Saturdays at 1 on Twitch, because I'm watching all of DBZ and we break it down shot by shot and I go over stuff like this. So I just want people to like look at this series and be like, this show is better than I thought. That's my whole goal. That is my entire thing. Why I criticize the dub. Why I go into like the intricacies. Why me and Jordan do our thing. I'm trying to make Dragon Ball fans realize that this shit is actually better than you even thought it was. And learn like, holy shit, this is much deeper. So anyway, see the flow? I love it. I can't. I want to keep playing the clip all the way through, man. But the damn, I don't trust Toei, bro. There's one more. Okay, this is the other one here. I got to talk about this, bro, because this, again, man, I got emotional. Seed of Might has subtitled every single credit in the entire series. Every single credit for the first time in decades. Fans can actually, and again, this information is out there. Like, I'm not saying it's like lost information, but it's so much easier now when you watch your favorite episode. Who were the key animators? Who did this? Who directed it? It's now right there for you. And I want you guys to realize something. Every episode of Dragon Ball Z and GT is different because you had different animators, different voice casts. Sometimes Piccolo wasn't in an episode, so you're not going to get Furukawa credited. Seed of Might had to go in and subtitle every single episode. Why? I mean, I know why, but you see what I'm saying? How long did this take, you know?
Yeah, so this was oh, I'm going to be mad if I get this wrong. I don't know if it was entirely or the majority by a team member named Ploffy. And she just wanted...
Chloe, I donated to her. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, she wanted something where, like you said, if you're just watching an episode and you think, you know, wow, I really like this voice, or I really like the way it's animated, who voiced this character, or, you know, who animated this episode, it's right there. You don't have to search for it. Sometimes it's easy to find on Konsenshu. Sometimes it can be harder to find, but it's all right there. And like you said, every episode has a different ending credits. And even, you know, the movies, we have the credits there. And just to kind of, yes, yeah. So you know, you don't see it with the picture, but when the credits are scrolling up, the text scrolls up with it. And just in case anyone's worried, everything is soft subs. So if you don't want to see the credits, if you say, I want to see it as it originally looked, it's a click of a button to turn it off. So if you want to do that, you can do that. But yeah, the way the subtitles are, especially for the movies, like, you would think it was literally part of, you know, the video file itself, just with how closely they matched, like the color of the font. Even if the credits are a little fuzzy, then the text will be just a little bit fuzzy to match. And it's an insane amount of effort. And I'm, you know, so glad we finally have this ready.
And it's not just copy and pasting. Cloffy had to match up the kanji with the correct animator, and that in and of itself can take time, because if you put the wrong animator with the wrong kanji, okay, yeah, 90% of the fandom will not give a shit. They won't even know. But there's gonna be that group that's like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, you credited the wrong person in the wrong kanji, so It's got to be accurate. I will actually show something real quick here. I did want to say on that X post, I wrote proper color source from animation cells, broadcast audio, multiple dub tracks, subtitled opening and ending credits, and stylized subs in the picture. So you're going to get, this is the most complete way to watch Dragon Ball Z and GT. This is the most complete way because you're getting everything. So let me see if I can real quick here. Okay, so check it out, y'all. This is one of the Dragon Ball movies. I forgot which one I clicked on. This is Seed of Might. As you can see, even the Toei triangle has Toei written there. That's not in the original. That's the stylized subtitle. And like here,
this one. Yep.
Yeah. I wanted to show I know you sent me the 4, and I'll get to that, but I want to show them how it looks in motion. So
Perfect.
this is Fusion Reborn, movie 12.
Yep.
Now, the bottom part there where it says Rebirth of Fusion, Goku and Vegeta, that is not in the original image. That's something that Seed of Might had to manually make, and the subtitle matches the Japanese title. That's what we mean by stylized, right? Because it looks all stylish and cool.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a couple, in the movies it's great, and anytime there's like a sign, you know, in the background or even the foreground,
or like a piece of paper they're reading,
right? Yeah, a poster, anything like that. There's one on our, you know, on Blue Sky or anywhere else. There's one where Cell is walking in front of a sign, like a highway sign. And when he walks in front of it, he covers the letters like you would expect a sign. It's not like the letters are over him. And again, if you don't like that, you can have the simple subtitles where it's just, the white text for the signs or anything else.
I don't know why somebody wouldn't like that. You know what I mean?
If they want the original, just to see how it looks, I get it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is so much better, but I see your point. It's just an option. As you can see here, y'all, this is the actual file. Goku skin looks not pink. It just looks like a different show. Like that's what I've been trying to tell people. Like it just looks like a different show. Like it just looks, you know what I mean? Like it like with the right colors. And I say that in a good way. That's not a bad thing. It's like it makes me want to watch the entire thing over again. Because even like Janemba, his reds are more vibrant. I mean, look at that shot right there of Goku, SS3. The detail with the shadows comes out. And remember, guys, this is 35 millimeter film for the movie. So you are going to get a better film stock. That's why Gogeta looks so badass. And this version that Seed of Might has, it has the dub with the Kikuchi score and the Nathan Johnson score as well. But what I wanted to show was the credits moving. So here we go. We'll do it right here. So this is an example of what we were talking about a few minutes ago. Every voice actor is credited. Every animator is credited. You see right there, like Frieza, Ryusei Nakao, Grand Kaio, Saikachi Ryuji, and also Seed of Might did the Japanese way, which is last name, first name, just because it matches with the kanji more. Because in Japan they say your surnames first. I don't know if you guys know that. I know you know this, Vanner, but we have casuals in here that might not know. I'm just informing them.
Right.
So like, West Kaio is played by Bin Shimada, who also plays Broly. It'll say Shimada Bin because that's how it's written with the kanji. And as you progress lower, hold on. You have the animators. And then you've got the lyrics on the top for the karaoke and at the bottom for what do you call it? For the translation. But because I'm a nerd, I know this song by heart. So I don't need the lyrics, but you can learn it you doing this. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna torture y'all today. Anyways,
but for the movies, any English track you can think of, like I know the ones with the rock songs, people like. They even have the ridiculous ones. So I think it's Tree of Might, the infamous Big Green dub.
It's on there.
That is in there too. If you want to enjoy as much as you can those dubs.
TFS without TFS is what I call it, bro.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what it is, It's TFS without trying to be TFS. So yeah, and the Neos versions do have the Spanish dub as the default. I think they may have updated it though. We talked about that earlier. But if you want the Spanish dub, the Neos versions are there. These are, thank you, Nicholas. It wasn't just Vanner though. There's a lot of people. Yes. Yeah,
I was one guy. Praise be to iChaos and his encoding guide for guiding us through these dark times.
Ronan, look at this. Come on, bro. Don't even get me started. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. Did you see what he said?
Oh, where was it? I think it came in
right here, bro. I'm like, no, hold on a minute.
Oh.
Relax, all right, relax.
I'm gonna have a little red dot on my chest.
The Neo version is SOM though, bro. Like it's the same source.
I'm assuming he's saying like just watching it as it is. And yeah, when people ask, like, I think sometimes there's a bit of like paralysis when people think about ways to watch the show, because we tout ourselves as like, hey, we're gonna make it look as good as it can and sound as good as it can and be translated as good as it can. So people be like, oh, which one should I watch? Like at some point, you have to make a subjective decision. Like if you say I want to watch it in the original SD, that's fine. I've watched our SD content on a 4K OLED television. It looks great. Like
Really? Even the 480p?
Yeah, if your scaler isn't trash, like honestly, the one Plex has is good. I've watched it through Plex. Looks great. Obviously, it's not like a native 4K film scan, right? But it still looks good. And you know, these like this upscale, that upscale, like we're at the point now where things are so good. The difference is like when you have to make that subjective decision, and you kind of can't go wrong. Like if you like it one way, that's fine. If someone actually asked like, hey, can I watch the Dragon Ball Z with the Japanese audio and then the English dub titles, or
that would be weird.
Or no, sorry, the opposite. They wanted the English audio with the subtitles for the Japanese audio. I was
that's useful.
I was like, you could, but why would you? They're like, I just want to see how wrong the English dub is from what it should. I was like, hey, if you want to watch it that way, go right ahead. We've given you the option.
I encourage that. You should, because that's the only way you're going to learn. Look at all this shit I've been talking. I'm not making it up. I know dub fans get real defensive. Just watch it with the Japanese subs turned on, and especially the stuff from like the Frieza saga and the early Android saga. They really took liberties. Thank you, Saiyan Z Zach. He says, I'm going to go Super Saiyan on how beautiful this is. Y'all watch out. Yeah, it really is a beautiful, project. And it's now, one couple more things before we get out of here. The Anime Lab sub. So I remember being in the Seat of My server. Somebody brought it up because I do have some Anime Labs tapes still somewhere. I don't even know how the hell I would even got that to y'all because it's on VHS still. And I thought I was being ribbed. I thought, oh, we're going to add the Anime Lab subs. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Nobody. That's like less than 1% of the current fans even know what the hell Anime Labs is, right? And then lo and behold, some of the episodes have Anime Labs. What was that all about?
Yeah, so just to be clear, that's not every episode. I think it's literally just like if someone had those. But yeah, someone. I mean, they're like you said, they're a bit infamous, I guess, with you know, some of their language choices, and then also I don't know, there's like beef or something between like real people in it that they just like add to the text. You know, would it be the way I recommend people watch the show, especially the first time? No, but it's definitely an interesting piece of history for, you know, Dragon Ball fan subbing in English. So yeah, someone, like a lot of what this project is someone wants to do something and they're willing to put in the work, and hey, you do that and it you know, gets part of the project. It's same thing for the other non-English dubs or subs. If you're from a different country and you want to see it done, if you're passionate, like absolutely you can make it happen.
Yes, and it's just of all the things. And the thing about Anime Labs is, you know, this was 90s, so there's a lot of language in these Anime Lab subs. So when I was younger and I had them, late 90s, early 2000s were very edgy times. South Park was coming out, wrestling was in the middle of the Attitude Era, and there's moments in the sub of Anime Labs where people say words that are not really what they said in Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta infamously calls Android 20 a candy ass FAGGOT. That word is not in Dragon Ball Z, although Bulma does call General Blue a homophobic slur in the manga. It's not. That's just something. That's a whole different thing. You know, the word cocksucker is used, motherfucker, all these like curse words that were not said in Japanese. However, one of the things that I have noticed, and this is not a Seat of Might issue because I've noticed it with Steve Simmons as well, and that is whenever I hear somebody say kuso, and I've talked about this before, kuso is like the Japanese version of like shit, like feces, but I've seen it subtitled as crap, crud, damn it. Vanner, how do you differentiate between what to translate kuso as? You know what I mean? If it's one word.
Yeah. So, I mean, fully admitting the translation's kind of like my weakest area of knowledge. Like I don't speak Japanese, so it's kind of based on you know, what other people tell me. But I think sometimes there's this belief that like you know, when you translate like a sentence or phrase, that should be like each word exactly as it would translate to. But sometimes that can be you know, it might not sound good or sound natural in English. I can't speak on like, you know, that specific words translation, but sometimes, you know, thinking about, okay, we're translating from one language to another, like even if a word can literally mean the same, like what could the context be? Like if, you know, you drop something on your toe and it's heavy, you could say like, ah, shit, or you could say, ah, damn it. It
Right.
mostly means the same thing, but sometimes there's like the harshness of the word, like, you know, swear words like you'd expect to see in like a more adult oriented thing. So if that's not necessarily what Dragon Ball is going for, not to say it's like a kiddie show, right? But if it's supposed to be kind of like a more general audience, that might be why sometimes you pick one word over another. And I've seen the arguments back and forth on different things, especially for like the androids characters and what that should be translated as. And people will say, no, it's literally this word and that word. But
yeah, I've
yeah,
noticed that you guys use cyborg a lot instead of artificial human, and that's kind
so
of the
yeah, so this was actually updated for the CC, the color correction, because, and I'm sorry, I'm blank again. Japanese isn't my strong suit. When if you remember in Dragon Ball, when Tao Pai Pai shows up again later and he fights Tien,
right 23rd
the
tournament.
word, yes, he is described as a cyborg, and the word used is different than the word to describe the androids, because
Yeah, it's
he's
not
like,
Jinzo Ningen.
right, right. Again, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on like what the specific word was for Tao Pai Pai, but yeah, we look at it, and then, like I said, at some point you have to make a subjective decision, as long as it's logical, of hey, this is the word we're going with, and you know, I think what we've chosen makes sense. Like I don't think you're going to watch the show and be like, wait, that doesn't make sense, or like, why is this, you know, why is this character a different name, or something's inaccurate. So, you know, really you can watch and enjoy it.
Did
I have a
Lance ask
question.
you? This is a question for you.
Yeah, so I got a movie shirt.
That's a great movie.
Yes, it is.
I haven't seen that one in a long time. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is a Japanese. Go ahead.
Yeah. If you want to see a movie about a character that falls to Earth as a weapon and hits his head and ends up becoming a hero and saves everyone, I don't know what. Maybe Dragon Ball fans would like that. Go check out Iron Giant.
Go check it out. So okay, so this question here,
And then you were sorry. I know you were talking about Lance. I don't believe, and if I'm wrong, you know,
did Lance ask you to do Bluma?
No. He has. There was something with something in GT, I think, with how we named the shadow dragons. He commented on. But there have been times like we've referenced Herms, we've referenced like a whole bunch of people in the fandom that are able to translate. We've kind of referenced their notes on how sometimes it's simple as how characters' names should be spelled versus like how to translate entire sentences.
Yeah, I talk about this a lot on the Saturday streams because like before, and this is just history from me being around for so long. Prior to the Android saga being dubbed by Funimation, the French called them cyborgs, and they actually call them C-17 and C-18. I saw that a lot back then, and the name Android is not a Funimation. It's not a Funimation creation. It's actually Anime Labs. They called them androids when the direct translation, if you were to actually go as direct as you can, which is not always the right way, it's artificial human, Jinzo Ningen. You guys know that Ningen means human or mortal, but calling them artificial mortal doesn't make that much sense because the word Ningen changes in context. I'm getting all nerdy now. Let's not get into that. Marcos, says, is this fan color correction correct? How would copyright work? Meaning, if Toei sees this, would they do anything? First of all, I can't comment on what Toei would and would not do, but I will say this. Please support the official versions. I own Dragon Ball in various formats. I have the American Dragon box. I have the Japanese Dragon boxes. I have the old Ocean DVDs, and I have the I showed it off in a stream a couple weeks ago, and I have the level sets that we got. So I have supported the physical releases, which is why I said, that's why I said that, like, that if Toei actually did do like a really nice color correction 4K with nice box art, all the dubs, I would give them $2,000 easily for the whole series. Like, I'm willing to pay that. But Seed of Might did it, so there's no need. But I still want them to do it. I still want them to do it. That way it's available to the mass public. But I can't comment on what Toei would or wouldn't do. So, and I recommend you go back and watch the whole stream again. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, people joke like, oh, what if, the day after we finish, Toei were to do that and, blow us out of the water? Like, I would love it. If they did that, I'd buy it, sync it, maybe they certainly wouldn't include Anime Lab subtitles. So, you could always still take it and make it your own.
I wish, but that's, that the Anime Lab subtitles is like above and beyond what the Call of Duty. So he says, can Toei even produce a better release? They can if they really want to. But here's the reality, and this will be the last topic before we close out. Look, I'm not just going to sit here and just disparage Toei for no reason, but I'm just going to say Toei can be very stubborn, all right? At one point, the broadcast audio was presented to a Toei official, and it was rejected. Even though Toei is the company that threw away their original audio masters, even though the fans were the ones that collected the audio all these years from various different TV stations all throughout Japan, and we have these super clear audios now, Toei rejected them. During Dragon Ball Super Superhero, there was a green tint on that movie as well. People reached out to Toei, and again, Toei's like, no, it's supposed to look like that. Fans are like, no, it's not. But it's supposed to look like that. Toei just doesn't, I don't know if they just don't care or what, but if Toei really wanted to, they could take the broadcast audio from Team Morello or whomever, they could put whatever dub they want on there. They could put, dude, I would kill for like interviews with like Maeda, Nakatsuru, like if they like, I would love a Dragon Ball release that was like a really like a bouquet, not bouquet, boutique. I'm sorry, boutique. Yeah. Where you've got like you've got interviews with the animators, with the voice actors, with Koyama. Like, there's so many things that if I were in charge of Dragon Ball Home releases, you would get something like this, where you get like, we would really do the definitive version. Yes, they can. The chances of them doing it is very, very slim. Did you have any comment on that?
Well, so I think, and again, not in the company, so I'm just an outside observer. I think Toei, for better or worse, kind of considers Kai to be their, remaster or re-release of Z.
And that's just Z.
And then for the original Dragon Ball, I think whatever that that upscale is, it's not good. But if they're putting that out, that kind of shows to me there's no intention of doing a new film scan, at least anytime soon.
And it's unfortunate, and then he goes on to say it gives the best expectations will be something like the specials and movies we got in 2019, but for the series, right? But even then, SOM would have to redo the whole series. Well, if Toei does their own color correction, if they do it, then the work that let's say that Toei does release a color corrected Dragon Ball Z, but it's missing the broadcast audio. Either Seed of Might or another group will just take the file, slap it on there, and we're good, right? It's not going to take years to color correct scene by scene if Toei already did it. Slapping the audio on there it wouldn't be super easy either, because you have to time it with their releases. And hell, I mean, bro, you know what? This is going to be really, really like specific, but they could someday, and I thought you guys were going to do this and you didn't, but I'm okay with it. Put the next episode preview before the credits the way it's supposed to be in the broadcast, because but that requires so much more editing.
Yeah.
I'm okay with you not doing
Yeah.
that. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like,
no, and that's fine. But like I said, like you have to make a decision. Like you could say, well, here's how the order is on D-Box, and then it's the same order on Kai, and it's the same order even on Super. So you kind of get a sense of like, okay, this is
and other anime.
Right, but you could also say like, well, it did originally broadcast as next episode preview and then credits, so do it that. But like you can't. I mean, I guess you could do both, right? You could, but like you're kind of redoing a lot of work. So like, yeah, you have to make a decision. And if someone wants to do that, if someone's like, hey, I took your release and the only thing I did is change out the credits and next episode preview, cool. Like, yeah, show us your work. Yeah.
No, and that's cool. That's why the fan projects have that. But that's a little thing. It's not. I'm not bitching about it because I understand. Like you said, make a decision. In order for you to cut the next episode preview before the credits, you would have to then also cut all the audio tracks, which it can be done with an editor with editing software. But how many episodes are we talking here? Like it's the amount of stuff. So Vanner, okay, the French Blu-rays, AB Group, they put out a color corrected Dragon Ball that looks great. They have the French and Japanese audios, but obviously we took it. And I say we, like the fans, not me.
Mm-hmm.
We, the fans, took it, added some of the Seed of Mice, some of the Morolo stuff. Bomb. It's out there. We're like waiting for volume 2, which is going to be episode 69 to 153. They went from 1 to 68, which is basically the start of the series all the way through Red Ribbon. And then 69 to 153 is the Baba arc all the way to the 23rd and marriage and all that. So, but they never released part 2 because Toei cut the project off. What's going on? What do you know about it?
Yeah. So this one, I mean, I'm going to try to be a little careful just because I think there's a lot of
we don't have all the details.
Right. So this one, okay, full disclosure, what I'm about to say, I cannot like prove with, any message or phone call or this and that. The story I heard was when AB Video wanted to do the release, they were basically presented with the Selectivision upscale, which I heard of original Dragon Ball. That one's very like smeary, not really that good.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want people to know the Selectivision upscale is another upscale that was done prior to the French one. This was done by Selectivision in Spain. And so they have not the Latin American dub. This is the Spain Dragon Ball dub, which is a different. I don't know if you guys know this, but Spain Spanish is not the same as like Mexican, Cuban, Puerto Rican Spanish. Spanish is a complicated language, but Banner, I'm not trying to interrupt them. I'm trying to explain to them, bro. Please don't. I'm really not trying to be rude. But so I'm letting everybody know Selectivision is another group that was releasing OG Dragon Ball. And you know what? Like, I agree with you. It is smeared. It's nowhere near as good as the French ones or even the Neos ones. But I'm happy that they at least tried. You know what I mean? But continue with the story. I'll shut up.
Yeah, and like it's really kind of like a romantic story with the French AB Video because you have this small company, like I've never heard of them, small compared to Toei, Funimation, Crunchyroll, that they decided like, no, we're not going to use this kind of mediocre smeary upscale. We're going to upscale, not like an official project file a studio would share with another, but like literally we're going to upscale Dragon Ball as it is on DVD. With that upscale, we're going to do our own color correction. And then also for the first time for any official release, we're going to throw in that Japanese broadcast audio. So it's nice. You just have, like I said, a smaller studio somehow putting out something better than Toei, Funimation. And, that there are some problems with it. I think every home release that comes out, people are like, "Oh my god, this is it! This is, you know, the perfect home release." And then after a while, there's a little bit of upscale problems. There's some like chunkiness that you get from upscaling. You know, DVD. A lot of the colors are very like blue. Like I heard they were
noticed
very
that.
like rushed for time for the color correction. So things tend to look very blue. Characters look a little magenta. But still, again, better than what, you know, these much larger companies have put out for Dragon Ball.
And that's
then
they have all the money. So
right,
I'm saying
and then
Toei could. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, the story that I heard was, you know, they want to do the next part of the series. They may have asked Toei like, hey, can we get the you know, digital, I guess the master file, you could call it.
Yeah.
Just so I know, you know, but for people who don't, like, when you put something out on DVD or Blu-ray, the original video file is of higher quality, even if it's the same resolution. So the masters used for Dragon Box are standard definition, but they don't have that like MPEG 2 like DVD compression. Had they upscaled that version instead, it would have looked even nicer,
Even
not as
better.
chunky. Yeah. But unfortunately, it literally was like a DVD, you know, you or I could go get on eBay. And that, you know, when they wanted to upscale, you know, again, from, like I said, the original source, like they were told no. And I guess the French are sticking by their principles and saying, well, if we can't release this well, then we're not going to release it at all. And, you know, now between them and Toei, there's not going to be any more Blu-ray episodes, which I think is sad. I mean, you know, would I watch it as someone who doesn't speak French? No. But you'd get the lossless French audio dub and those subtitles. So it is kind of sad that that version was never able to finish.
Yeah, it is, because it was an actual legitimate, legal, 100% you can import it, home release. It's what we've waited for, and Toei shut it out. And it's just like, dude, do you hate? I've never seen a company hate its fans more than Toei. Like it's actually like maybe Lucasfilm. I don't know. Is the leveling going to be adjusted in DBZCC, or will that be a different group? What do you mean by leveling? Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah. So part of, like we talked about with the movies, where certain scenes are adjusted to be brighter or darker. That's not something we had done in DBZ, just because of like how long the entire series is. Like I said, it's something where if you just like, oh, let me make it brighter for the episode, you're going to end up with problems where some of the brighter areas are
It's
clipped.
too bright.
Yeah, so it's not something, at least for us at the time. I try to never say like, oh, we'll never ever touch that. Like, there's different people, like you never know if someone wants to try their hand at it. But unless there were like, at least as of right now, unless there were like a catastrophically like wrong color correction, there's nothing planned for video updates for DBZ right now.
Yeah, I mean, let them take a break. All right, let's rest, because they put out on Christmas Day all of Z, and then the movies on New Year's. I'm okay if you guys chill out. I know you got the specials coming up. If you just, it's only 2 of them, thankfully. You just chill out and not do any updates for a while. I would have, because it's there. I mean, obviously there's, I know you said there's still some small, right? Isn't there like a V2 being worked on with small updates and things, like little stuff, right? Correct.
So for one thing we're working on is kind of like we'll call it like an audio DLC pack. So there's, like, you know, all the different kinds of like English dubs, even when it's like the Funimation English dub, there's like the ultimate uncut edition for one.
The
for
Falconer,
example,
the Toonami Falconer. Believe it or not, y'all, some of the tunes that were in the Toonami version are not in the home version. Black and Fist talked about this.
Yeah, so we want to have like a DLC pack with some different audio tracks. I think maybe, and I'll have to check with the group, to maybe include the original D-Box Japanese audio, which you really wouldn't ever need. Like, there's no point in listening to it. But just for like, if you ever, like, if anyone wants to make a YouTube video and to like compare the two, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something for creators. One thing, if you did want to see, talking about new work, if you have that short Goku video DB V2. That's a little sneak peek.
Hold on.
Of the upcoming
DB
board.
which one?
Or,
V2.1 or
V2
V2.2?
subtitle. The V2 subtitles.
Oh, I think I did get. Let me see if I got that one. Give me one.
I think you
what?
Opened it. I think you had
I thought I did
it.
too. Yeah, V2 sub. Oh, here it is. I did.
Yes. Okay, so watch the subtitles here.
Okay, let's do that again because we started it. Yeah, this was so awesome, y'all. Keep an eye on the subtitles because I didn't notice the first time. They animated the subtitles disappearing. This is above and beyond. You don't need to do this. This is not. You don't. You know what I mean? Like this is like a really good happy ending. Oh, that's a weird comparison, but I'm gonna play it one more time. All right, watch the subtitles, y'all. He teleported the subtitle, not he warped the subtitle. Go ahead, bro. It's wild.
Yeah. So this is part of Dragon Ball version 2, which is coming out. I'll just say soon. I know you know, but for the love of God, anyone watching, don't ask us for a release date. Just because every time they do, we get nervous of like, oh, we told them this date and now we have
pressured.
To. But yeah, and you know what? Look, no one's subscribed to us. No one's paying us. You didn't pre-order this, so you'll get it when you get it, and we'll do the best we can.
If you're wondering how to get it, we're gonna go over that right now. First, 227 says, AI upscales, would either of you recommend grabbing EPs as they are released or waiting for a project to be completed? As tech advances, so do methods. Okay, well, I'm just gonna say this. The AI upscale that Ronin did a few years ago was good, but AI technology, it's controversial, but it has advanced. Now we have a lot better systems than we did before, right? You all right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
I thought.
No, sorry. No, yeah. I mean, that's kind of one of those questions where I think it is a little subjective. Like I said, I've watched our release on a computer monitor. I've watched it on a big, 4K OLED TV. I think it looks fine. If you watch any existing upscale and you're like, hey, this looks fine to me, then by all means, check it out. I do think, and Cedomite is one group. There are different groups. They have different goals, different intentions. I would recommend a lot of groups, if they are doing some kind of video edit, to just have one version that isn't an upscale. Like some groups say, like, hey, this is the upscale and it's the only thing they put out. And unfortunately, if there are problems with that upscale, you can't like undo those problems very easily. So yeah, like I said,
the big file size too, because that's the thing. Like, because my idea here. Okay, I want to make this clear to people. If you're going to be getting Dragon Ball, even if it's just Z, right? Just the regular 480p Z, it's a total of, is it 1.5 terabytes, something like that?
I think 1.1.
1.1. Okay. And then as far as I know, I believe the Neos one for Z is going to end up being like 2 terabytes or so. And then if you take Dragon Ball Z and GT, we're looking at like 3-4 terabytes and the movies. There's a lot of Dragon Ball content. So I would highly advise you, because Irvi asked me about this the other day. He was upset. He was like, I don't have a big enough hard drive. I'm like, bro, you need an external hard drive or something, another hard drive. I would recommend everybody, if you're going to get any, whether it be the Cedomite or the upscales, you may need to check how much space you have, because these are large files. Because of the various audio tracks, because of because if you were to compress it more, you're going to start losing video quality, and that's going to affect. Why are we here? You know what I mean? Right. We're here because we want the best version.
Yeah, and I think what's nice about how we have it is if you do want to take out audio tracks, like if you say I don't care about English dubs, I only want Japanese, you can do that. There's easy ways if you look up MKV muxing or demuxing. And these ways don't touch the quality at all, right? The audio only takes up, I think, like 20% of the space. So there's still a lot. And if you say like, hey, I don't care too much about video quality, or like, I can take a little bit of a hit if it's small. Like, there's easy to use software. Like, you want to throw it in some software, cut the file size in half,
like
or
Handbrake
2/3 or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like, again, would I do that? Like, no. But if someone else is like, oh, I cut it in half and it looks pretty much the same, by all means, you can do that and watch it and enjoy however you want.
I do want to say, and this is something that we talked about before. I talked about it on Twitter. If you are planning on downloading these and you need a bigger file size, a bigger hard drive for the bigger file sizes, I would highly recommend getting a hard drive as soon as possible, because tech prices are going up. RAM and video cards are going up, and it's scaring the shit out of me, because I'm gonna have to upgrade soon my PC. Everything's getting more expensive. A lot of it's the tariffs. I'm not gonna get into other reasons, but the point is that and yes, there is an Ocean Dub track that's a mix with the Funimation. It's in there, brother. You can take it out if you want, or you can listen to it if you want. The point is, if you want to get a hard drive, you might want to get it sooner than later, because I feel like by the time we get to like the holiday season this year, the Black Friday deals might end up just being how much it costs now for the full price, because it's bad, man. You know what I mean? It's bad. But here's the thing too. That's the price you pay for this quality of Dragon Ball or this quality of anime. Like, if you don't have the room, you don't have the room. Like, I know some people, you can't afford it. It's fine. It's fine. But the good news is that it's out there and it'll stay out there. Obviously, support the official version. Now, how can they get it? Here's what I've done for everyone. In the description of this video, there's a link to the Seed of Might Discord server. When you go in there, there are links in this code called Base64. Go to Google and type in like Base64 decoder, copy that into that, hit the button, it'll give you the link, and then you use that link to go find the files. Is that a fair explanation?
Yeah. And anyone, like I said, if you have, problems with size, like, you can always get 1 or 2 at a time. Like, if 10 episodes at a time, right? And that's not really that big. You can.
My ex told me she did have problems with size. I'm sorry. I was fucking around.
But yeah, I'd say that's a good description. People ask us, people are like, can you put it on a streaming service? Like, yes, when we have Netflix money, when Netflix buys us out, we'll we'll put it on a streaming service, but we don't have the means to do that.
Not just that, but if these guys put it on a streaming service, that's when Toei is going to step in. That's when they're going to say, hold on. See, Toei only cares if people are making money. And I do have the pin to Jay-Z's donation. Donations is fine. But if these guys try and be slick and put it up on there, that would be bad. So that's not going to happen. But if you want your own streaming service, and this is a separate, we're not going to go into this, you can create what's called a Plex server. Go into YouTube and type in Plex servers and look at some of the people that talk about it, like Tech Syndicate and different channels, and you'll learn that you can make your own streaming service and you can use these files for that. So
yeah, and like I said, it looks great, and you put it on your PC or laptop. You can stream it to your phone or tablet, and yeah, you can make it look as good as you want. You can pick your subtitles, pick your audio tracks. You can really make the release exactly what you want.
And it's cool to be able to have that option. And like we talked about, if you're a foreigner from France or Italy or whatever, there's other dubs out there. You could throw that on there. That's the thing is, and Seed of Might has a tutorial on their YouTube channel how to create a batch file to eliminate audio tracks. Like, some people love the Faulconer score. Like, I know some people that they'll watch it in Japanese with Kikuchi, but they won't watch it dubbed with Kikuchi. They'll watch it dubbed with Faulconer. It's kind of like, this is satisfying my nostalgia. This is satisfying my urge to watch the real story. You know what I mean? I understand that, because I'll be honest, Kikuchi and the dub does sound a little weird sometimes. The leveling is off. I talked to Raleigh Pickens about it from Okatron, and he told me that the equipment they had back then was not very good. I believe it. Nowadays, people like Seed of Might, we have digital equipment, and it's actually way better than what they had back then. This will be the last super chat before we get out of here. Thank you so much, Tanner, for spending so much time with me today. I wanted to go just an hour and a half, but there was so much to talk about. But I really appreciate you. And I know my audience appreciates the work. Like I told you, I get emotional because this was done by my peers. This was not even like it's a mix of like anger towards Toei for not doing this, mixed with like this feeling of unworthiness that I feel like we don't deserve this, but we got it, so we should be thankful. John Leon, I bought 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM a little over 2 years ago for maybe $200 at most. Now it's going for 907.
Dang, that's Dragon Box prices.
Yeah, that's yes. And that's the other thing too. These are useful if you can't find the Dragon Boxes. Look, here's the way. Let me just say this. If you want to buy the orange bricks and say, okay, they're garbage, but if you want to say, this is how I'm supporting the official version, I don't think that they should be getting paid for those because they're so bad and they're very very crooked marketing. But if you want to buy that and then just watch Seed of Might the rest of your life, that's great too. I'm going to use the Seed of Might files because I have the Dragon Boxes, but whenever you take the discs out, you risk scratching them and things like that. So with digital media, you don't have to worry about that. So there you go. All right. Before we get out of here, any final thoughts you want to throw out there? Any final credits you want to give? Anything? You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. I absolutely appreciate your kind words, and thanks for having me on again. And I'm just looking at the chat. Just love to see all the good comments. There's like names I want to say in Seed of Might, but there's like so many. It's like, look at our releases. Everyone's credited. But yeah, like I said, there's a little more to come with Dragon Ball and the specials. And if anyone ever, sees our footage, this is for you as the fans. So if you want to make a YouTube video and you want it to look good, absolutely, you can use our footage. If you want to, like we have scans of the Kanzenban manga. You want to use those scans, you can. Those scans are in like higher than 4K resolution.
I was going to ask you about the Seed of Might manga. Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit before we go?
Yep. So this is kind of a little bit like with the shows, like we do our version and then other people can work on it. So we did the Kanzenban scan, and that is I know but for everyone, it's the manga and the pages colored by Toriyama are presented in color.
Perfected versions.
Yes, the ones that originally are in black and white are in black and white. So I'm just saying it's not full color. It's not the digital full color. It's closer to how Toriyama did it. What we did was just the scan of it. There's actually shout outs to Tuxedo Time. So there's another group that decided to kind of
manga, right?
Yep, they used what we made, or what we scanned, I should say. And then there's actually a couple people in Seed of Might working in that group, working together to do an English version. I think they have like 100 chapters out already. So about a fifth of the series, but it looks great. The English is great. You don't have like these weird, like goofy Viz jokes or whatever. So, but it's outside, what I'm doing. So I can't give like a timeline of when they're done. But like I said, they have at least 100 chapters out already.
Yeah, and it's the quality of the files is so big that when I double click one of the manga scans that you guys have done, it's like 4,000 DPI or something like that. Like it actually takes time for my computer to load it. And my computer's from 2019, but it's a pretty good one. I have a GeForce RTX. I still use it to edit all my content. I'm every game I throw out it plays, so I'm not gonna upgrade right now, especially with these prices. But even these, when I play Seed of Might movies or Dragon Ball episodes, no problem. But these mangas, they takes a second to load up because of how detailed it is. Like you can zoom in, you can see Toriyama's pen droplets and things like that. You know, like little droplets of ink.
Yeah. But yeah, like if you want to, you could do a YouTube video in 4K and like zoom in on a panel if you were like reviewing or talking about, and it would look good, like blown up full screen.
It's about as good as it's gonna get, man. So that's the whole thing. Seed of Might's all about as good. We have limitations, like we talked about. Obviously, if the fandom had access to like 35 millimeter film, different story, although that would be more expensive. But the amazing work that has been done with you guys with regards to just taking the dragon boxes, because essentially it's the dragon boxes that all of this is born from, and releasing the original Seed of Might versions. Then we have the color corrected, then we have the upscales, all from that dragon box source. You're taking DVD quality and you're like, I don't want to say the word upscale, but it is an upscale, but I mean in a more poetic way, you're just revitalizing something that's an old medium. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, we do the best I can. We kind of have unfortunately given up on official sources doing anything better. So we took it into our own hands.
Me too.
Yeah.
What is this? I want to ask you before you go. That being said, the English 5.1 Coochie track is still very useful. What is he talking about? The one that Funimation has, the 5.1 on the.
Yep. Yeah. So a lot of these surround sound tracks, what they'll do is they'll have the dub in the center channel. And what's good about that is you can take that dub out and you have only the audio tracks.
Yeah.
So with that, if there were different, like, let's say you had to like mix things around, like let's say something was dubbed and maybe the way it's dubbed had scenes cut out, you could kind of like mix and match and put that just the audio back in to that.
Yeah, but the Kikuchi music, you can separate it from the episode, right?
Yeah, you might have trouble with like sound effects like punches or kicks at the same time.
That's true. That's true. And there are AI models that fix that, but those are also not very like they can fuck up too, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Like now, I mean, look, nowadays with AI, it's getting scarier, but we have like, who knows what Seed of Might's gonna do in 2 years? Like, I feel like you guys are gonna get bored one day and be like, why don't we try this? I don't know. I know DBZ Recut. One of the things they wanted to do is they wanted to recolor Vegeta episode 5 of Z with the red hair. They want to do a complete recolor of that scene. And I'm like, that's a cool project. I told you the one I want. All right. This is, I haven't told you, Vanner, but I'm going to tell you now. This is the most nerdy shit. What I'm about to tell you, bro, you may look at me and be like, this guy's never got laid after I tell you this. I want someone to edit the Cooler movie so that Goku Super Saiyan has red eyes. I know it's fucking stupid, but Toriyama's original design for that movie, it's lighter hair with the red eyes. Can you imagine? I know someone's gonna do it. Cooler's battle of the strongest versus the strongest, whatever. The red eye edition, and it's literally just the final Goku shit. It's so minute, right? But to have it would be so cool. Am I weird for that?
No, I mean, like I said, we put this out. If anyone wants to do that, go right ahead. If anyone's like, oh, that's not how it was in the movie, like, hey, you already have how it is in the movie. Like, so someone else doing a cut or an edit is never going to take away what we've already done.
Exactly. It reminds me of when I had the DBZ Recut guys on, and somebody was like, we were like, okay, we're cutting out all the filler. And this one guy in the chat goes, I hope they keep some of the filler. And I'm like, were you listening to what we just, like, do you know what this is? And then what was funny is I had a can of zero sugar Dr. Pepper. And I said, it would be cool if I bought this zero sugar Dr. Pepper and said, I hope there's a little bit of sugar in it at least. No, it doesn't work that way, bro. If a fan group wants to cut filler, the purpose of the project is to do that. But like you said, you've still got the original stuff out there. You know, like I tell people, like when I tell them, like, hey, watch Dragon Ball in Japanese, I'm not telling you to delete your dub track. I'm not telling you to delete your Falconer CDs. You don't have to do any of that. I'm saying watch it once, get the real story. No one's trying to hurt your nostalgia. I think this exists to enhance it. And like I told you before, Vanner, I got real emotional seeing the color corrected ones because I was like, fuck, man, like I never thought that this would ever happen. I just never, like, you know what I mean? Like, just never. We have technology. Technology has advanced quite a bit because I know we couldn't do this shit in like 99. No. You know,
it's crazy. My like, I guess, emotional moment after we had the Dragon Ball color correction, someone like tagged me in a video and it was someone explaining like what Seed of Might did and how color correction works. And you'll probably laugh at this. The video was in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. So I had to use like the YouTube auto translate captions.
Now I want to watch it.
Yeah, I was just getting real emotional to think like, oh, hearing the points were like some things that I had said or written. And it was just like the work we had done had like crossed the language barrier and like affected someone else that like I couldn't even natively understand. But then sometimes not even with the subtitles, but with like what was brought up in the video, I was like, oh, I talked about that. I said that. And now like someone's taken that and decided to share it in their own language. So yeah, I'm just really happy, you know, the amount of people that have been able to enjoy. And you know, we do sometimes in Cetamite try to say like, let's make it look the best, sound the best. And mostly we prefer the Japanese audio and subtitles, but however you want to watch it, however you want to enjoy, absolutely you're free to do so.
Yeah. And I still think though that guys, if you're like this to everybody watching, I know that they're big files and you know, hopefully I think everyone, if you really want to appreciate Dragon Ball even more and it's time to watch the series from start to finish, I would recommend using the Seed of Might color corrected versions this time and this watch through. And I would actually go so far as to say, look into creating your own Plex server because you can really entertain. When you have a Plex server in your home, you can have you can stream to any like computer in the house or any TV in the house if you set it up right. So you could have your own at-home streaming service. I'm not going to go into how there's a lot of work, but it's worth the work. And it would be cool if you had this version of Dragon Ball Z. Dude, you invite people over, bro, like they will be like blown away. Like, you know what I mean? Like casuals. And I will tell you this. I'm not surprised that the Latin Americans said that because those people are the ones that really, really love this shit. My people.
Oh yeah.
It's the magic of getting a good dub. That's the magic of getting a good dub. Just imagine how it would have been if we got that.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball would have been bigger.
Well,
yep.
We got what we got, and yeah.
No, hey, it's available. At least we have Kai. So, all right, I'm getting out of here. Thank you again, Vanner. Thanks everybody for listening. Real quick, programming note or a preview. Next Thursday, I'm doing the Mongolorian, not a Super Magic Show. Very special episode. Derek Padula and Jordan are going to be here with me, and we're going to discuss the character arc of Son Goku in the manga. I'm so excited to get into it. We're not going to go into we're not going to read the whole manga. We already did that on the Mongolorian, but we are going to go into what Goku's arc is from Pilaf to Buu, from boy to grandfather. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for that. It's going to be a next Friday. I'm sorry. It's not next Thursday. I apologize. Next Friday at 6 p.m. So anyways, y'all, I'm out of here. Have a good one. Thank you, Vanner, again. Seed of Might link is in the description for the Discord server. create a Discord account and go in there. There's actually a room for frequently asked questions and things of that nature. And there's guides on how to use MPV. There's links to all the releases. I'm just looking at it right now. Like, it's all there, bro. Like, it's you will not get lost, hopefully when you're in there. So
yeah.
Have a good one. See you real soon. Take care of yourself and each other.